Yay Networks.
Good morning, evening, afternoon, nighttime, whatever time it is that you're catching this wonderful show, honey. It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood. And guess what? We're going to have a great day today. Now, I don't know if you all know by now, but this month is Mental Health Month. And I mean, there's so many of us experiencing mental health, and we don't even know it. I know what I've experienced, and I know, honey, what some of my friends experiencing, honey. So I tell you, we definitely need mental health advocates. So today, one of my wonderful guests, honey, he's going to sit there and tell us all about your mental health, how you can reach him, if he could help you, or if he can do anything for you or your family. So without further ado, ladies, put your hands together let me get it together, because I don't want to mess up no name, because baby, people be like, you messed up my name. Put your hands together, y'all, for Mr. Derrick Washington.
What's up, Gary? How's it going?
Well, how you doing now, Mr. Derrick? Is that Jakolby Washington?
Jakolby. Derrick Jakolby Washington.
Oh, that name sounds distinguished.
Oh, my.
So, Derrick, how you doing?
I'm well. I can't complain one bit.
And if you did, I'm doing fine. And if you complain, Derrick, I definitely would listen. So, so you do have an ear. So that's a good thing about it.
I appreciate that.
All right. So, okay, Derrick, without, further ado. Okay, now, May is Mental Health Month. And, a lot of us, experience definitely mental health, and we don't even know it.
Yes.
And, and that's the sad thing about which I'm glad more and more Africans in America are starting to speak out, honey, about mental health, because we definitely experience more mental health, almost more than anybody on this earth. But you know how they say, back in the day, honey, we used to just brush it under the rug.
Yes.
We used to say, honey, Uncle Joe, honey, kind of little and stuff, and they lock him up in the damn back room, and you didn't see him, honey, until they brought him out. So now we start to speak out about it. So I'm glad that we're doing this. So Derrick, share with us, your views on mental health and how, you could help people out.
Yeah. So again, I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show today. Black mental health is so incredibly important. We are, as you just stated, we're dealing with so much through our media, just through life in general. We're seeing images of people being harmed, killed. We're seeing war that's so incredibly prevalent in our media. And so we're just dealing with an array of issues and just trauma. And so it's important that we take control of our mental health. I think that, it's important that we do things that make us feel well, things that include exercise and fitness, and even our diet. Those types of things do wonders in preserving our mental health. I think it's imperative that we seek out counseling or therapy, that we get help. As you mentioned, we all got that uncle or auntie that's a little bit different. I have a few in my family, actually.
All of us do.
Absolutely. And so I think it's important that we, address that stigma that's been prevalent in communities of color, and seek out the counseling and the therapy that we need through qualified individuals.
Yeah. So now, Derrick, now you published, you're an author as well, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am a children's book author. I published my first book in 2020 after the senseless killing of George Floyd. It's actually called Son, You Matter. And yes. I wrote that book because I, like so many others, during that time after, coming through the pandemic and also seeing, the senseless killing of George Floyd throughout the media, I sat down and really tried to reconcile my thoughts and emotions behind that whole ordeal. And the thing about it is my sister actually had my first nephew 6 months prior. And I began to sit down and think about what would life look like for him in the next 15, 20 years or so? Will he continue to live in a society that looks at him based on the color of his skin, or will they embrace him for the greatness that he's going to bring to the world? And also during that time, we had a president that was calling our Black brothers thugs and inferior. And so I thought it was important that we, take back that narrative and let, society know that our men are not thugs, our men are not inferior, but we are great, we are valued, we are important, and we are incredibly loved. And so I wrote Son, You Matter as an affirmation to little boys and adult men to let them know that they are, again, indeed valued and loved by us.
And you know what, though, Derrick, and that's interesting, you know, because definitely men, and in particular Black men, definitely need to know that they're loved, and, you know, they definitely need to reach out more for their mental health. But it's sad that society, you know, make them think, oh, you do this here, you honey weak, or you this and that and other stuff. And it's just a sad situation. Because like myself, I be wanting to do so much. I would like to do so much more for Black men, but it's hard for me to kind of put myself out there to do it, because the first thing they'll be saying, well, you try to like him, or you like that man, you know, because of your lifestyle and all that. Damn, I'm trying to help the crazy bastard because he needs help. You know, because, you know, we need to help, and we just need somebody to talk to, and especially these young guys. I look around and see the world and just some of the things that, you know, happen, just being me working in the entertainment business and stuff. I mean, everything is catered to women. And, you know, they have all these different organizations for women, but they need more for men.
Absolutely.
Men they need more stuff for men just as much as they need for women. It needs to be an equal balance, if I would have to say anything about it, because men, and young Black men in particular, definitely need more help, honey, and somebody to guide them, you know, especially like these guys. Like I look at some of these young athletes, and so these guys make more damn money than my dad could have made in his whole life. They make that just by walking out the damn door. And then what they do, they get with these damn women and start having all these babies and stuff. That money ain't gonna last forever, honey. Because the way you spend it and carrying on, because they grew up in a household. You got little DeQuavius grew up, honey. DeQuavius is 20 and his mama 25. And hell, she didn't know how to raise him, but DeQuavius just happened to have a skill. He know how to run a football, got rich and stuff. Now they all crazy. And, you know, it's a sad situation. And I'd be like, God, if you could if they could just get a hold of somebody and somebody just help them out, honey, and just do something.
And you know what, Gary, there are, you know, an array of resources that are available. I think it's just all about the awareness in our community. I think that we suffer from just a lack of awareness. There's social media, you know, there's all of these platforms, and we engage in those things that, you know, primarily interest us. But as you mentioned earlier, there's just a huge stigma around mental health in general, specifically in the Black community. There was a study done by the National Alliance of Mental Illness that said, and they queried a group of individuals, and 63% of the Black individuals the Black adults rather, that they queried said that they view mental illness as a personal weakness. And so that just goes to show So that just goes to show that there's still this huge stigma within our own community. And though, you know, I'm very excited that there are more Black people taking advantage of therapy and counseling, there's still a lot of work to do. And so I think that, you know, we just got to get rid of that stigma, get rid of that, you know, lack of awareness, and begin to utilize some of these resources that are available for us. And there's even a huge online community, Safe Space Black. There's one called Black Mental Wellness. It's a virtual community that provides resources for Black and brown individuals that are dealing with some type of mental illness. And I think that it's important that we just become aware of, again, these resources that are available for us.
Yeah, that would sure be nice. I hope they happen in my lifetime. But I know one thing. The thing is, like, you know, because I mean, I'm bipolar. And I'm not bipolar like my coworkers say I'm bipolar. I'm clinically diagnosed bipolar. And so, you know, and I've been taking lithium for over 30 years. And when I had my first breakdown and stuff, and I mean, nobody believed it. Like, who you driving crazy? No, it's not who I'm driving crazy. It's the chemical imbalance.
Yes.
What happens? But honey, I go to my therapist, honey, religiously, and I talk about it, and I share. I am not ashamed, honey, because I tell people all the time, honey, if you could be who I am and make the money I make, honey, I'd be crazy too then, hell. But honey, and knowing what the hell I'm diagnosed with. But it's just interesting, though. I mean, some people I know, because some people feel, you know, or they'll just say, oh, I'm bipolar, or I'm ADD and stuff like that. Just be saying it, but you need to really be diagnosed with it. But the thing is, and some of us too are afraid, oh, Lord, I don't want to take that method. It's going to slow me down. I might not be funny no more. Or I might can't be this. To hell with that, honey. I tried it, and I stopped taking it at a point, and I'm like, I had to start back taking it. And the doctor told my parents initially when I was diagnosed, the pharmacist said, your son is gonna be taking this medicine probably for the rest of his life. And so far, honey, my life is still going, and I'm still taking it.
That's
but
right.
I take it. And you know, another thing too in the African American community, I don't want them pills. I don't want all that medicine. Well, that's what the damn lawyers put the doctor on earth for you to take the damn medicine.
Right.
I don't want to take them medicine because I'm gonna pray to God. You keep praying to God, honey. You know that saying, honey, about the man, and I can't do it verbatim, but it was the man, honey, in the middle of the ocean, honey, and the ship came. His ass was drowning. And the ship came by and said, come on, get up on this boat, honey, so I can say, the Lord will take care of me. Okay, he sure did. But it's just, we got to get past some of those, like you said, those stigmas and just get with it and realize it. Because, honey, it's just, at one point, you're tired of seeing all these damn black guys and all these people in general, but more so black people, we're talking about being shot and killed. I mean, they have mental problems. Well, the cop don't know you got mental problems. They already trigger happy as it is. So they're going to shoot you and kill you. And you and your mental illness that nobody knew about. You know?
Yeah. And I think that you kind of hit the nail on the head, so to speak. I think that, you know, in our community, we like to mask our trauma with our faith, right? And so we say that, hey, I'm going to just go and pray it away. I'm going to go, whatever this issue, I'm going to just go and pray it away. I'm a fast it away and do all of these things. And those things are fine in their place, but it doesn't have to be a one or the other. It can be both. You can go to church and also go see your therapist. You can go to church or go to mosque or what have you and still take your pills or whatever it is that you need to address that chemical imbalance that you have happening within your body. You're trying to figure out, why am I frustrated? You know, when somebody says something to me and I just kirk off or just, you know, lash out at them. Well, you're dealing with the chemical imbalance, and it's going to take medication. It's going to take counseling to address some of those issues. And so, we just got to get past, you know, that negative.
Are we going to get past it? Are we going to ever get past that?
I feel like we can, though. The more that we create spaces to address this, that's why I appreciate you for using your platform to bring awareness to this. I think that, you know, the more that we talk about it and the more that we make it, you know, acceptable in our community, I think that we can move past it. It's going to take time because it didn't happen this way overnight, right?
So
it'll definitely take time. But I think the more that we have access and the more that we're providing spaces to share openly about mental illness, I think that there is hope for us.
Because I like to let people say, you could have mental illness or challenges or whatever you want to call it and still have a successful life. I walk around every damn day, honey. I still do everything I need to do or what have you. So if I don't take my medicine, then I'll go, honey, from 0 to 1, not even in a second, a millisecond. But you just have to do it and stuff, and you have to, you know, have faith and stuff. And, you know, you just can't let people, you know, tell you that, this is not this, or you're going to be like that and stuff like that, honey. My aunts told my parents, y'all might as well tell Gary to go ahead and get him a trade, honey, because he ain't gonna ever be able to work again, honey. Not when he'll be in Allen, you know, because they didn't know. But I'm just like, child, please, honey. I'm not going to sit around, honey, and moan and mope and wait for something to happen. You got to go out and do it yourself. So
and there are a number of different stories of individuals that are thriving. You would be surprised at the amount of individuals that have a diagnosed mental illness within our community, the Black community, that are thriving, that are doing well. People that you can walk past somebody on the street and not even realize that they could be struggling with depression or struggling with schizophrenia or some other mental illness. And they're thriving because they look just like you and I, and they're able to function. And so they just are taking medication or have a core in counseling where they're able to kind of manage that chemical imbalance. And so you just never know. And so we just have to, again, not look at it as, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to function if they put me on this medication, or if I begin to take advantage of therapy, I'm not going to be able to function. I'm not going to be able to live a successful life. No, that's a lie. You can absolutely thrive and be successful with a diagnosed condition.
And that's almost Derrick, with almost anything too. I mean, even though this don't have to, I mean, look at Magic Johnson, honey. Everybody, people is dying, honey. I mean, by the pound. Magic Johnson's still here, honey. So, you know, people
Listen,
talking about he got a wonder drug. No, he's just taking this medicine they're supposed to take to live.
that part.
So we gotta, we gotta think like that. We had like, in words of old, we gotta change channels in our
Yes.
heads and stuff. So and get it together though. So which is good. So and hopefully and prayerfully, one day we'll get to that point where everybody, honey, will be able to, recognize and deal with what they're dealing with and keep it moving. So
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
that's that, because I definitely don't. I tell my mom, I don't go around waving my gospel flag because I don't have to, because then you get those holy, oh, the Lord, the Lord. Oh, Lord. We know the Lord gonna take care of you, girl. You ain't gotta wait. I'm looking at you, girl. You're here. So,
Right.
but that's just, we think we gotta do that and stuff. But honey, like they said, let your light shine. It shines.
Yeah,
So,
it shines.
So Derrick, what's next with Derrick? So I know now you just sponsored a big event, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so I launched a nonprofit. So I mentioned my first book, Son You Matter, which was written in the wake of George Floyd. But I also have another book called A Special Little Girl, and we're talking about mental illness. My niece was diagnosed with autism, and while autism is not necessarily a mental illness, it is a developmental difference or disability that happens in the brain. And so I dealt with an incident with my niece where I attended a gymnastics class with her. And at the end of that class, I observed the instructor award every student with an award except her. And so what made matters worse is when we got home, my niece, who's not able to fully articulate her emotions, she communicates through like cartoons or videos or what have you. She began to replay a cartoon that talked about how bad it feels to be left out. And that thing broke my heart so much so that I ended up writing a book, my book, A Special Little Girl, to let all little children that learn differently know that, they are valued and loved as well. And that I don't care what society has to say about you. Like we were just saying, you can still thrive and function and live a productive life. And so as a result of that book, it just really catapulted my advocacy around autism, specifically in communities of color, because just like mental health, we stigmatize autism and we act like little Ray or little Boo Boo don't got something going on with them. So just like we got that uncle or that cousin that's dealing with something, we also have children that are incredibly impacted by autism or other neurodivergent disorders in our community. And so I founded an organization called Friends of Zion, which is named for my niece Zion, which conducts research and provides resources to children of color and their caregivers that have been impacted by autism or other intellectual developmental disorders. And I think that it's important because, like we were saying earlier, our families and our communities don't have access to tons of these resources. We don't want our kids to have an IEP. Similar to why we don't want to take medication for our mental illness, because it is a stigma or perceived stigma that we think will follow them throughout the rest of their life. No, an IEP is in place to get you the support and the help and the resources that your child needs. And so what Friends of Zion does is we really work to destigmatize autism and intellectual developmental disabilities in communities of color while providing access to those resources. And so I'm really, really heavily invested in that, and just, again, bringing that awareness to this cause. I'm working on another book around just the joy of music and how music can help people across the board, across the spectrum, to be productive and to work through various challenges that they're dealing with. And so it's a children's book. I also host a podcast called The Jakolby Culture, where I feature diverse authors of color, because we don't oftentimes have access to like these major platforms to spread our message. And there's some people that's doing some great work, that's writing some great stories that absolutely need to be heard. And so that airs every Wednesday on my YouTube channel, as well as can be released through podcast form on my website. And so doing a lot of things, got my hands on a lot of things, just trying to bring a wellness for the culture.
So you're just every man, honey. Donna Ross, Shaka Khan was every woman, and you're every man. So, well, that's all right then. But Jakolby, I think that's great, honey. That's good. You're doing all these wonderful things. And when you say Zion, it just made me think of Lauryn Hill's song, Zion. That's interesting and whatever. So, but that's good. So, Jakolby, I thank you so much for stopping by.
I appreciate the opportunity.
And
this has been great.
So tell us again how Jakolby could be reached.
Yeah, you can follow me on IG at Jakolby, or follow me, check out my website rather at djacobywashington.com, and you'll have access to all of the resources that I just shared. We got some mental health resources that are coming up this month. It can be found on my website as well.
So now, Jakolby, you're in the District of Columbia?
I am. I'm in DC.
Oh, my Lord. Well, that's all right then, honey, for all the folks in DC. I got to come out there again, honey. I hadn't been out there since President Obama was inaugurated the first time.
Oh, my. That's been a minute.
It's been a minute, so I got to come out there and see what's going on out there with you people in DC. So, Derrick, Jakolby Washington, thanks again for stopping by. Good luck to you in your endeavors, and have a great week.
Thank you, Gary. I appreciate the opportunity. You have a great week as well. Take care.
All right, y'all. That's Mr. Derrick Jakolby Washington. I mean, like I said, May is Mental Health Month, and honey, we definitely need to tune in to our mental health, because a lot of people don't realize they walking around here half mentally disturbed, but they like, no, because Jesus is going to fix it. So I got another guest, honey, that's waiting to come on in, y'all. So without further ado, honey, let's bring in Miss Icia. Let me pronounce her name, because I don't want to be messing up folks' name, honey.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi. Now, you pronounce it, is it Icia?
Icia.
Icia. How we doing, Icia?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, honey. It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood. And honey, like I said, we're doing Mental Health Month, and you are a mental health advocate. So, I mean, without further ado, honey, we're going to let you just go ahead and talk. So tell us what's going on with Miss Icia and Mental Health Month.
So I'm just doing some advocacy. I work a lot with children, adolescents, adults, and families, helping them work through a lot of the crises that they have, restoring them back to their highest level of functioning. I'm really excited, and I want to say thank you for even having me on here, for opening up your platform for doing mental health, especially in the Black community. That's just not something that we talk about often enough. So I just appreciate you for what you're doing and for even having me on here today. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. So, I see how you're talking with the last guest. And, it's interesting. So do you think we'll ever get over the stigma? Because, in the Black community, honey, we ain't crazy. We praying to God, honey, and God gonna fix it. I ain't going to no therapist because God, he ain't told me that. Do you think we'll ever get past that stigma and realize that, honey, we all definitely need a therapist sometime? I mean, you can't just tell everything to your friends, because your friends don't know. I mean, they could give you a little bit of advice, but if you go to a professional like yourself, that could kind of help you get over the bridge.
I'm very hopeful that we are making gains in this space. And I see a lot more churches opening up their doors and welcoming clinicians, especially clinicians of faith that are coming in, that have been doing the research in the Word of God, and that's been able to show how God is also the author of healing, even of your mental health. He's the author of that. And you can find in the Word where he addresses it. So a lot more churches are even embracing mental health. They're bringing mental health professionals in there, and they're combining it with the Word of God. So that way we're not eliminating God and only doing mental health, and only doing God and not doing mental health. There's a balance in the middle. And I'm very grateful that even though we're not where we need to be, we're definitely not where we were. There's just a lot of advocacy that's taking place. Especially, I really want to attribute Dr. Anita Phillips. I don't know if you're aware of her or the work that she's doing, but she has been doing a lot of work bridging the gap between faith and mental health, and just showing how God is with us even in that journey. So I am excited that we are knocking down doors and breaking down barriers and just eliminating the stigma for that, especially for those in the Black community.
Exactly. So now I see here too, honey, you have an extended background. So you're a clinical social worker, you're a clinical addiction specialist, and a certified juvenile sex offender. I mean, this is a lot. So tell us, elaborate on some of this stuff. I mean, girl, you stayed in school all your life.
My whole life. And I'm still in school working on my PhD. So I love learning. I am just a student of life. But yeah, so I've done a lot of work around trauma and around sexual abuse, and I started working off with the victims. And then after you go to enough court cases and you realize that the laws were not written for victims, they're really written for the perpetrators. To me, really? I was like, let me start. Yes, the laws are not written for the victims. So I started doing the work with the perpetrators, not to side with them, but to try to understand better what their thought process is and what type of things they're going on, to see if we can identify them before they can harm or hurt somebody, as well as to figure out ways that we can love love people through their process, love them to healing, give their family support, give their parents support, help them out in that way. So that's where the whole juvenile sex offender space came in. I've also done some work in addictions because we have a lot of addictions in our community, and we have a lot of families that are faced with trying to figure out how do we love our family and how do we love those with addictions that are in our families, right? So also trying to bridge the gap in that space as well. And then just a lot of work around trauma. Trauma really is the foundational core of everything that I do. And I realized that everything that people deal with always has its root somewhere in trauma. So if we can heal that root, we can heal the whole garden. So,
But you know what I always say this, that everything we do revolves from our childhood.
that is correct.
Is that correct?
So if you really break down the word of God, you'll notice that we're built more like trees than we are like animals. And that's a wild statement. But what I'll tell you is that everything that's closer to the ground in the tree is what feeds the rest of the tree. So if you first experience trauma in the utero, meaning like while you're in your mom's womb or as an infant or in early childhood, that trauma stays with you and it actually becomes a part of your DNA throughout your lifetime. However, if the first time you experience trauma is in later adulthood, then that's kind of like the leaf of a tree and it'll just fall off of you and it won't impact you because it's not really a part of you. So the earlier that you experience the trauma and the more intense the trauma is, the earlier on, the more it literally becomes ingrained in how you're raised, how you think, how your actual DNA is. You know, anger and different forms of trauma is passed down generationally. So the goal is to heal and to have healthy people from the very beginning, like before life can even get here. So
How do
yes,
you do that?
my God. You know, I promote therapy to everyone. Whether if you think you can identify a problem or can't, I really identify getting third-party feedback. Getting third-party feedback is one of the healthiest things you can do because sometimes we can go through life only seeing it through our own lens of perception, which if it's been skewed and dysfunctional the whole time, you think you're right in your dysfunction.
Yeah. Mm.
So I
Ooh.
actually recommend therapy for everybody, even if you cannot specifically identify a problem.
Yeah.
Everybody got something.
Girl, everybody got something, you know.
Everybody got something.
And we all need therapy, like I was telling the guests before. I mean, I definitely go to my therapist because I'm diagnosed bipolar. I mean, I've been taking lithium now for over 30 years. And I recognize that, you know, at first initially I was like, well, people say, well, who drives you? Who you drove crazy? No, it's not who drove me crazy. But it wasn't that, it was the chemical imbalance. And I definitely, you know, believed it and I didn't, you know, doubt it. And I don't have no problem talking about it, you know, because a lot of people, you know, we afraid to talk about something. But then I wonder why is it too that I still, some of us have no problem with talking about stuff as opposed to some of us, oh, I'm going to keep that, I can't share with nobody. I mean, I'm not saying we got to wave a flag and say everything that happens to us, but why do we?
You know, everybody is just made up differently. And some people are just naturally open individuals, and some people are just naturally, you know, more closed in. And I feel that oftentimes even our trauma can drive our openness or our closeness. If you have experienced a lot of abuse, especially in your childhood, where your boundaries were violated, where when you said no, nobody cared and they continued to force their way on you, then you kind of begin to learn that the only control you have is your story. And so sometimes that can drive you to be a lot more open because you realize they'll take it from you anyway. You understand? So sometimes certain forms of trauma can push you to be very open, very expressive, and have very little boundaries, especially if that's something that you weren't raised or taught very early on. Or if your boundaries were too rigid and were too closed, you can embrace and embody that, and which is just as unhealthy as a person whose boundaries that are too open. And so the goal is to teach people how to have healthy boundaries where you are in control of what you allow in and what you are in control of what you let out. And we don't teach boundaries often enough.
Yeah, because I know without me going to a therapist, honey, I used to be the type of person that used to run over me and people just say what they wanted to say to me. And my mom used to always tell me this too, and it really was true. You know, I used to take everybody's problem, honey, and internalize it. And hell, it made me crack up. So so to speak, but going to therapy after I went through my breakdown and all that stuff, honey, I'm like, I don't hold nothing in. And you can tell me your problems, girl, I hear it and empathize with you, and I just keep it moving. I don't carry that with me.
So that's a healthier space, right? Because in trauma, we're going to have one of four responses. We're either going to fight, we're going to flight, we're going to freeze, or we're going to people please. And oftentimes when we get into that people pleasing space, it's also because, and people pleasing is like a newer phenomenon in response to trauma than what we knew before. Most people are familiar with the fight or flight space, but people
Mm-hmm.
pleasing is one of more so fawning, where if I do what you want and give you what you want, you have a smaller desire to hurt me. You won't want to
Mm-hmm.
hurt me if you think that I'm going to do that. So all of those responses not in balance are all still responses to trauma and how we feel that we need to best protect ourselves. And so through healthy communication, we learn how to create safety with the people that we come in contact with. We learn how to let people know, this is what I need from you, this is what you can get from me. And when we're safe, we all respond in healthier ways than when we are in fear or in doubt or whatever, right? Because when you don't have that type of structure in place, you don't know what to expect. You're just reacting. You're not responding.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and it helped me out, honey, with my parents. I mean, because we love our parents and we respect them, but honey, girl, it's like they say, respect goes both ways. You could tell me some things, girl, and I gotta say something, let you know this is how I feel too. But we was
yeah.
ready, like, you better not talk back to them. It's not that I'm talking back to them, but I'm just letting you know this is how I feel. So initially, when I first went through everything, I used to write my parents a letter. And honey, if I had something to tell them, girl, I wrote them a letter. And
You know what? Did you actually give them the letter?
Girl, yes.
Good for you. There's so many people that will not deliver the letter. That is so good.
Well, that was the whole purpose of it. Hell, I'm writing to give y'all.
I love that for you. And how did they
Yeah,
respond to you?
that we talked it over and stuff because, girl, I mean, like I said, I used to carry a lot, and I'm like, that was tearing me apart. It was hurting me and stuff more. And I'm like, so I'm walking around here, damn it, looking crazy and all angry with everybody, but everybody else laughing
Free
and
as a
happy and
bird.
stuff. Yeah, I never
Yep.
forget. Oprah did a story one day. She was saying that she was angry with this woman for whatever reason the woman did her something, whatever. And she said she just held on to it, honey. She was just mad. She said one day she went down Michigan Avenue, honey, and that woman was coming out of Tiffany's laughing and carrying on. She said she saw that woman laughing. She said, she laughing and carrying on. She not mad, and I'm mad. Running around here being mad with her and stuff. And she the day she learned how to let it go. Because
Yep.
you have to let it go, and I had to let it go. And like I said, I wrote letters to them, and we had to get that resolved and stuff. And like now, I mean, with me and my mom, if we have something to say to each other, we talk about it and stuff. Because I can't be sitting around here being upset and honey, about to explode. So we have that great conversation. I love that. So that's one of the good things I like about therapy, because going through therapy helped me get to that point.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to get to that point, because believe it or not, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Okay. It ain't gonna work. So now I still not. So you're an author of 6 books?
Listen, COVID, I was busy during COVID.
Really?
Yeah, so I wrote one book back in 2012, which was really just about my life and all the trauma that I went through, which was it's a book called Letters for You, and it literally goes from A through Z, documenting my life from anger to zeal and how God literally brought me out of the trenches of hell. And then when I was in COVID, I was just hearing so many stories through my practice of all of the crazy things that kids and adolescents and adults were going through that they normally wouldn't have gone through had they had these outlets, right? These social outlets that we normally utilize that was shut down and completely taken away. So I started writing these children's books, and it just kind of came to me one day. It was a purpose series, and it was children's books where the goal was to give kids language to help them express and explain how they were feeling with really hard and difficult and challenging situations. And then what I found was that even though I was writing the children's books for kids, the child inside of a lot of adults were more so responding to the book like, where has this book been all my life? Like, this is what I needed, so forth and so forth. So I did that during COVID, and now I'm currently working on one, charting my journey through this divorce space.
Oh man, so you're going through a divorce?
No, I am divorced, but I had to wait till I got to the other side, and now I'm going back and I'm charting my journey about that space.
So let's talk about your work at NPHC, the mental health and trauma.
National Pike Health Center. Yes. So I have my own location there. I run a location in like a rural part of Maryland, which is so cool because I was originally working in Baltimore City, which is kind of like my stomping grounds and with people that totally look like me. And now I'm in another part of the world where I have some people that look like me and some people who don't look like me. But it's been great because the more you get into the work, you realize people at their core really have the same problems and the same issues, and everyone is just trying to figure it out. But I've been with them for about 18 years now. now. I really love the work that I do with them. They're really great. They're very community oriented. They're family oriented. And it makes it easier to invite clients in and help them feel safe from the door to know, hey, this is not your mental health journey. This is going to be our mental health journey. And we're in this thing together with you. And as long as you don't give up, we're not going to give up on you. And we're going to beat this thing down together.
Okay, let's go back to the divorce situation. So does divorce have to be just traumatic? Does it have to be, just sending the kids here, I'm sending the kids there? Because I often wonder about divorce. Now, my parents didn't divorce or whatever, but I have brothers that all been through divorces and what have you. And so, I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, with the kids, the part with the kids in particular,
Mhm.
I mean, how does that work? I mean, because you got, we going to daddy house for this week, we're going to mama house. How do we talk about it? Because I always told my dad if he was to divorce my mom, I was going to have him killed. So because all my neighbors, all the neighborhood I grew up in, we all had our parents. So I don't know what that.
Did you say you was going to have him killed?
I sure did, honey. I told him, I said, if you ever leave my mama, honey, I will have you killed. So, because I just didn't want that to happen.
Yeah.
So.
Well, my situation was a little bit different. I went into my divorce hoping that everything was going to be amicable, that everything was going to be great. And I would have to say like 90% of it was. And then I think like when the reality set in and hit, like we've had like some turmoil, some tumultuous things, which I personally just choose not to feed into. But for me, every decision I make is always driven with having my kids' best interests in mind. And so it's always been like, hey, you know what? Daddy and I are not together, but he can come over for Thanksgiving if he wants, or let's work together. Let's make daddy a plate and let's send it down there to make sure that he's eating the same type of things, that you're eating. Or, if there's something you want to share with dad or not, we try to do group FaceTime, family FaceTime things so that we're still a family. We're just a different kind of family.
Yeah,
We're still two adults that still love you. We just didn't work together being together. But that doesn't mean that we can't work together to love you, to make sure that you have everything that it is that you need. And to be very honest and transparent, you're not going to get there overnight because two adults still have to work through their own trauma, their own history, their own forms of abandonment and rejection that the divorce may have opened up for them. But you have to make a commitment to be determined to work through it, even if it takes time.
Oh, that's too intelligent, girl. I didn't know they did it like that, girl.
I can't say what everybody did. I'm just telling you my perspective, and I always told my kids, I said, you have friends and sometimes y'all go through these dramatic spaces where you can't stand each other, don't like each other. But at the core, you're not going to let somebody hurt your friend. And at the core, you're going to figure it out. You're going to work it out, even if you need time, right? And I tell my kids all the time, it's not my job to protect you from being hurt. It's my job to give you the tools that when life hurts you, you can move through it. Because forever and a day, life is always going to throw something at you that can hurt you. And I'm not going to always be around to protect you. So if I step in front of every hurt and pain that's targeted for you, then you're going to go out into the world ill-equipped to be able to handle it and manage it as an adult. And then I would not have done my job.
Oh, well, that's deep, Icia.
Listen, and I know it's harsh, and I know it's not like the familiar thing, like, I'm going to protect my kids.
Yeah, because it's sure not.
It's not. But the reality is I lost my dad when I was 9, and then my mom was tragically killed in a car accident when I was 21. So the reality was there was no one there to protect me. But all the time growing up, my mother always modeled and showed me how to do what I need to do to keep it pushing and to keep it moving. And there was a value and a strength that I learned from her that even when it didn't feel good, it taught me how to have what I needed so I could work it out for my good.
Yeah.
It's not about your feelings. It's about what you're getting, right? It's not about me making you feel good. It's about me making sure that you are equipped with what you need to be good when it's all said and done. And I tell my kids all the time, I'm not going to save you from every moment, but your job is to outlive the moment because it's not done until it's good. Everything God created was not finished until he said it was good. So your life is not finished until it's good. And if it's not finished, hold on, baby, because he's still working some things out, even if you can't see it.
Ooh,
Even if you can't see it, it's still working for your good.
Ooh,
You just got to stay there till it gets there. You got to stay there. It's process.
Man, are you a pastor too?
Father God. Nope, I'm not a pastor.
Girl.
I'm an elder, but I'm an elder, but I'm not a pastor.
Okay, because that's a servant, and I ain't never heard like that. My Lord, that's in DC. Jesus. Because, nowadays, I mean, A lot of parents, they are just cookie cutter and got it nice and smooth on it, but you gave it raw, so to
Because,
speak.
well, and the truth is, right? The truth is, my marriage was over a long time ago, right? And my daughter, I was like, oh, let me stay married for my daughter because statistics and studies show that when children are raised in married households, they come out with better outcomes. They're more likely to get married and they're more likely to stay in their marriage. So I was like, let me sow the seeds of marriage into my daughter. And then when my son came, I literally was like, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. God, I just need your grace and mercy to cover him if that's the correct, if that's the correct thinking. But the reality was when we finally sat down with the kids and told them our decision, my daughter literally was like, thank you. I'm happy for you. Like, it's about time. So sometimes the things that we think we're protecting our kids from, they can see right through it anyway. So it's
Exactly.
better to just be authentic and honest and equip them versus have them not even respect you because they feel like you're living a lie anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I said on those thoughts, honey, could you give us a closing thought?
Stay in it until he makes it good. It's not about where you are because he won't leave you or forsake you. So stick with him and he'll stick with you.
All right.
That's my closing thought. And go get your mental health on.
Oh, yes.
Go get your
definitely.
mental health on. Don't be afraid of it. Make yourself your best project between now and the end of 2024.
Yeah, during COVID and all that stuff, honey, I was still trying to see my therapist, and he was like, you couldn't go in. They were doing this telehealth. I need to feel you. No, I stopped going for me. I can't be talking to you on no damn screen. I need to feel like I feel you. So
you couldn't feel me in this interview.
I could feel you, but I'm talking about going to him, paying him to go see him
This
as
how
a
my
therapist.
therapy sessions are.
Really? Oh,
My sessions are just like this.
I can feel it, but I just know I need to sit here and look at you. I need to feel your energy. Not
You
just
need a
through the screen.
therapist that engages in snatch and grab therapy.
What's that?
I made it up.
Oh, God, what the hell
You
is
need a
that?
therapist that will come snatch and grab you and pull you into your freedom because they are not going to leave you where you are.
Yeah,
and you have a big personality. So you need a therapist that has a big personality that can match your energy.
Yeah, but I know whatever. I don't need no therapist through no screen, honey. So now we back, in person. So yes, Lord. Well, I thank you so much for stopping by and let the people know how they can reach you.
Instagram and Facebook at Icia Ragsdale. That's just
ICIA.
ICIA RAGSDALE. I'm on Facebook and Instagram.
All right. I knew some Ragsdale. Are you related to some Ragsdales in Dallas, Texas?
That's my married name.
Oh.
Honestly, I don't know. I never really met any of the family. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, Icia, thanks again, honey. I enjoyed talking with you. And I want you to have a great day and a better. Oh, and well, you're not a psychotherapist, because I was just saying.
We are. That's what we are.
I mean psycho. I mean, when they can read minds, because it's sad that Jennifer Lopez is divorcing again. But we're gonna pray.
We're gonna just keep that in prayer.
I'm Ben Affleck. Lord Jesus, that's a part of the gossip part of me.
Yeah, I mean. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
They tried it twice. I mean, damn, honey. If they say if at first you don't succeed, try again. But
sometimes we just need to do the work. And marriage is not for kids. No. Tricks are for kids. So as an adult, sometimes you just gotta do the work. And if two people aren't willing to do the work, then what are we doing?
We're taking space.
Taking space. And sometimes that's healthy. That's okay.
To take space.
Sometimes.
Like, well, just stay in the same house. You live in the living room and I'm in the bedroom.
That's me, honey, because we're not going to be in two separate houses. You can go in the basement and I'll go upstairs, but it's okay to take space.
And you heard it from Miss Icia Ragsdale. Icia, thanks again for stopping by, honey. You have a great day and a better tomorrow.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye. All right, y'all. That's it for Honey Mental Health Month. We had two great guests, honey, Mr. Derrick Washington and Miss Icia Ragsdale. I mean, these people gave us a lot of knowledge. So a mind is a terrible thing to waste, y'all. So, honey, I want you all to listen to what these people had to say. Put this in your long-term memory. And I want everybody to have a great mental day.